Hello students, Ms. Slyman here, and now we're talking about syllabus topic 1.5, and we're going to introduce the complex numbers. So when we look at solving some quadratics, we sometimes have the case where if we use the quadratic formula, we'd have x equals negative b over 2a plus minus root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So notice here I'm going to end up with the square root of negative 8. Well, there is no number that when I multiply it by itself, it would give me negative 8. However, we know that the operation of square root exists, and so what we need is another number system to make this value exist. And so what we end up having is the complex number system. So the complex number system encompasses both real and imaginary numbers. So this is real, and of course we use the R symbol for real, and imaginary. And in fact, we say that a complex number z can be written in the form a plus bi, where the real part of z is equal to a, and the imaginary part of z is equal to b. So I can express any number in this form and end up with a complex number, or if b is 0, then it ends up being wholly a real number. So the way that we do this is we define the square root of negative 1 to be the imaginary number I. This is super important because this then allows us to say that I squared is negative 1. So now I have a number that I can multiply by itself and get out a negative. So if I come up to this problem, I can now continue simplifying, and I know that the square root of negative 8, I could simplify this to be negative 1 times root 8 over 2. That then turns into negative 2 plus or minus square root of 8 is 2 root 2. So 2 root 2 divided by 2 is just root 2. Square root of negative 1 we write as I. So my two roots in this case, I can't see them on the graph because they're in the imaginary plane.